people went into a frenzy last week over something I said that Deshaun Watson would have an opportunity to compete. I never declared that he would be the starting quarterback. I didn't claim someone else had already secured that role either. I don't know if it'll be a rookie they bring in or a veteran currently on another team's roster via trade. But the way things unfolded yesterday is exactly what I anticipated. Shadour Sanders remains the four-string quarterback. He didn't take a single team rep. Now, sometimes rumors swirl around OTAs, but the reality is he didn't take part in any 11-on-11s. He wasn't QB1, he wasn't QB2, he wasn't even QB3. And the optics of trotting him out in that context, I don't like any part of it. It undermines the entire team, strategically, mentally, and competitively. Then there's Haymart. When asked bluntly whether Cleveland is making a mistake by burying Shedeur Watson on the depth chart, she replied with clarity, "I don't think he's buried at all." She argued it was far too early, premature, even reckless to characterize it that way. Sure, there are four quarterbacks in the mix, and the intrigue is understandable, but saying the Browns are doing Shedeur a disservice? That's a stretch. Interestingly, he had taken second team reps before, but what happened today was stunning. During a move the ball period, one of the first we've seen in camp, Shadour Sanders took reps ahead of Dylan Gabriel. Yes, you heard that right, and he earned it. He's clearly impressed the staff with his poise, accuracy, and understanding of the system. Every assignment they've given him, he's executed it with excellence. But here's what makes this narrative shift so astonishing. The person saying this is not just any beat reporter. It's Mary Kay Cabot, the very same journalist who for months dismissed Shedeur as an afterthought. She labeled him a fourth stringer, questioned if he belonged in the NFL, and caught so much heat from fans that she had to turn off her YouTube comments. So what changed? How did we go from he's not ready to he's earned it? And more importantly, what does this dramatic pivot say about Shadour Sanders' journey and the unstoppable power of silencing your doubters? Stay with me, because this story takes more unexpected turns than a Hollywood thriller, and by the end, you'll realize that this is about so much more than just football. It's about resilience, growth, and the sweet, undeniable taste of vindication. Let me give you a glimpse into how harsh the early criticism truly was, because once you understand that, Shedeur's rise becomes even more impressive. Throughout minicamp and OTAs, Mary Kay wasn't just skeptical, she was relentless. She repeatedly emphasized that Shedeur was QB4, took no team reps, and wasn't involved in 11-on-11. In NFL terms, that's not just being benched, that's being banished from relevance. You're so far removed from the action, you might as well be watching from the stands. But while Mary Kay was fixated on public drills, something else was happening behind the curtain. The coaching staff wasn't ignoring Shedeur. They were watching, evaluating, studying. And what they saw wasn't what the media was reporting. There's a massive difference between what the media spotlights during open practices and what really goes on in the trenches, in the film room, the walkthroughs, the private grind. Shedeur was soaking it all in, mastering the fundamentals, absorbing the playbook, and growing faster than the public ever realized. Even more, Mary Kay speculated that Cleveland wasn't even preparing Shedeur for a starting role. He hadn't been given the same reps as Dylan Gabriel or Kenny Pickett, and according to her reporting, the staff hadn't given him the nod to run with the starters. But what she described as a limitation, that may have been part of a deliberate strategic development plan. Sometimes throwing a rookie into the fire too early doesn't build confidence, it burns it. Smart teams let their quarterbacks grow step by step. Master the basics, then elevate. Think of it like learning to drive. You don't start on the freeway, you begin in a quiet parking lot. But here's the dark side of sports media. Once a narrative gains traction, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. When someone as influential as Mary Kay calls you QB4, that label sticks. Other outlets echo it, fans start to believe it, and suddenly you're not just battling for a roster spot, you're battling a reputation. And yet, this is where the tide began to turn, because not everyone bought into Mary Kay's story. When she claimed Shedeur was buried, Kimberly A. Martin fired back immediately. She wasn't having it. She said it was far too soon to draw that conclusion and that Shedeur was very much in the mix. This wasn't just differing opinions, it was a clash in philosophy. Kimberly saw potential, raw, explosive potential, that Mary Kay either missed or refused to see. What Kimberly was really saying is powerful. The entire foundation of Mary Kay's criticism was flawed from the start. You can't suppress brilliance, no matter how hard someone tries. Attempting to bury a talent like Shadour Sanders is like trying to block the sun with a blanket of clouds. Eventually, the light breaks through, and when it does, it illuminates everything around it. Kimberly A. Martin grasped a fundamental truth about the NFL. Genuine talent always surfaces. It rises above depth charts, media agendas, and doubters' predictions. But Kimberly wasn't alone in her defense. A wave of fans began to take notice. Social media lit up with confusion and frustration. Why was such a gifted quarterback being overlooked? Draft experts cited his collegiate statistics, laser-like arm strength, and exceptional football IQ. The disconnect between what viewers saw on tape and what was being reported became glaringly obvious. This is where the story begins to shift into psychological territory. A seismic shift is unfolding in the heart of the AFC North, and it could dramatically reshape the Browns' Super Bowl trajectory. We're talking about a monumental change that might cripple a division rival for years while clearing the path for Cleveland's rise to dominance. You're hearing it here first. But before we dive deep, if you bleed brown and orange, smash that subscribe button and help us grow this loyal Dog Pound community. Let's rally together to hit 1,000 subscribers, share this with your fellow fans, and show you're part of the movement. Now let's get to the breaking news. As the NFL offseason intensifies and the Cleveland Browns prepare for what could be a defining year, one topic is dominating headlines: the quarterback conundrum. This isn't just about who will line up under center, it's about the long-term identity of the franchise. Will this finally be the season Cleveland finds lasting stability at the most pivotal position in the game? Fans are desperate for clarity. But as every seasoned NFL watcher knows, the offseason rarely provides straightforward answers, especially when it comes to quarterback battles. Right now, the Browns find themselves in a rare and complex scenario. They possess a diverse mix of signal callers, each with a unique storyline, upside, and set of unknowns, and that's where the real intrigue begins. On one side, there's Joe Flacco, an experienced veteran, Super Bowl champion, and a steadying force who can bring immediate poise and leadership. For a franchise long plagued by instability at quarterback, Flacco's presence offers a sense of reassurance. On the other side is Kenny Pickett, once a Steelers prospect, now wearing the orange and brown after a surprising trade that turned heads across the league. When Pickett landed in Cleveland, many assumed he'd be buried on the depth chart. After all, his tenure in Pittsburgh was rocky, plagued by a collapsing offensive line, minimal support from his receiving core, and inconsistent play calling. Yet something is shifting. Inside Berea, there's growing buzz that Pickett may not just be a backup. He might be the contender for the starting role if he can flash growth and decisiveness in training camp. Recently, ESPN Cleveland's Tony Rizzo made waves on The Really Big Show, asserting that Pickett is currently viewed by many league insiders as the front-runner to start Week 1. According to Rizzo, Pickett's youth, potential, and moldability make him an attractive long-term piece for the Browns coaching staff, especially in a system designed for smart, quick decision-making. And this isn't just media hype. Head coach Kevin Stefanski and GM Andrew Berry have openly praised Pickett's talent and untapped ceiling. They see promise, even if questions remain, most notably about his consistency, accuracy, and ability to command an offense under pressure. Make no mistake, this quarterback battle is more than a preseason headline. It's a turning point. The Browns have assembled a formidable roster featuring elite defensive pieces, a stacked receiving core, and an offensive line rebuilt to protect and perform. All that's missing? The true franchise quarterback. And here's where timing and chemistry matter just as much as raw talent. Flacco could serve as a trusted bridge, offering wisdom and stability early in the season. But if Pickett emerges with sharper decision-making and commanding leadership, the Browns may be inclined to hand him the reins and build toward the future. What's more, Cleveland's QB decision has ripple effects far beyond the locker room. The AFC North is a battleground. The Bengals are led by Joe Burrow, the Ravens are navigating injuries and inconsistencies post-Lamar Jackson, and the Steelers, ironically, are still trying to develop their own future at quarterback. If the Browns strike gold with the right choice under center, it could tilt the power balance across the division, potentially setting up Cleveland as the team to beat. Meanwhile, the rest of the Browns roster is surging. Major offseason investments on defense, especially in the secondary and front seven, signal a commitment to balance and dominance. The offensive line has been fortified, allowing more time for play execution, and the receiving group, led by the ever-reliable Amari Cooper, features rising talent that can stretch the field and punish defenses. Attention, die-hard Cleveland Browns faithful, breaking developments are shaking up the AFC North, and this could redefine the Browns' trajectory toward that long-awaited Super Bowl charge. And we're not just talking minor shifts here. This is a full-on power realignment that could send a bitter division rival spiraling into chaos for seasons to come. And yes, you're hearing it here first. But before we dive in, if you bleed brown and orange, hit that subscribe button and become a vital part of this growing Dog Pound family. Let's hit 1,000 subscribers together and keep this fire burning. Let's break down what's really going on. If you've been following the NFL this offseason, and especially the ever-evolving saga in Berea, you already know things have been far from quiet. It's been a maelstrom of rumors, debates, and unexpected shakeups, but nothing, and I mean nothing, has generated more buzz than the Browns' quarterback conundrum. This isn't just a personnel discussion, it's a defining moment. A crossroads that could determine not only the fate of this season, but the next 5 years of Browns football. Cleveland has been wandering the quarterback wilderness since the end of the Baker Mayfield era. The Deshaun Watson experiment brought headlines, but also headaches. And now, the Browns are in search mode again, hunting for the leader who can command the huddle and carry this franchise into January football and beyond. A crowded crowd and complicated QB room, this year's quarterback room, it's a puzzle of potential and uncertainty. Joe Flacco, the seasoned veteran, brings poise and pedigree, but at this stage in his career, he's more of a bridge than a builder. His ceiling is capped, his best years behind him. Leadership? Yes. Long-term answer? Not likely. Then there's Dylan Gabriel. Raw, electric, and full of upside. He's a project QB, a high upside investment that could bloom if developed properly. And of course, Mary Kay Cabot found herself increasingly isolated. While she clung to her fourth-string quarterback narrative, a growing number of voices began challenging that view, forcefully. Having a dissenting opinion is one thing, but when that opinion starts resembling willful blindness, it stops being analysis and starts sounding like denial. The pressure was palpable in interviews, press conferences, and every tweet. On one side, Mary Kay doubled down. On the other, a rising chorus asked, "Are we even watching the same player?" This wasn't just a debate over a quarterback. This was about credibility, narrative control, and how we evaluate rising stars in professional sports. And through all the noise, Shedeur kept his head down. He studied film, he met with coaches, he sharpened every edge of his game, quietly preparing for the moment when preparation would meet opportunity. Because here's what champions understand that critics often forget. External noise is just that. External noise. What matters is the silent work you do when no one is watching. But just when you thought the criticism couldn't intensify further, Mary Kay found new ammunition, a speeding ticket. And she didn't just report it, she weaponized it. She didn't merely mention the violation, she emphasized that Shedeur was allegedly going 40 miles over the speed limit. She claimed he was racing another driver clocked at 92 mph, calling the event dangerous and irresponsible. She used the moment not just to question his judgment, but to cast doubt on his entire character. She declared, "This is not what you want from your quarterback," implying that this single incident called his maturity and leadership potential into question. Let's get into it. When it comes to the Cleveland Browns, especially in recent years, the most polarizing and heavily scrutinized topic has been the quarterback situation. It's been a whirlwind, unpredictable, exciting, and at times chaotic. But this offseason, it feels different. Something seismic is brewing. And it all revolves around one of the most consequential quarterback battles we've seen in years. Initially, the Browns presented it as a four-man showdown for the starting role: Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shadour Sanders. On paper, it looked like an open, fierce competition. But what if that was just the surface-level narrative? According to inside sources and recent reports, the real battle is likely between just two contenders, and it's not who you think. Joe Flacco, despite his pedigree and playoff success, may be more of a mentor and contingency plan than an actual frontrunner for QB1. That revelation alone could shift expectations for the Browns' 2025 campaign. The bigger picture: after a series of up and down seasons, Cleveland finds itself in a transformative phase. The front office, spearheaded by GM Andrew Berry, is clearly pursuing both stability and long-term upside at the quarterback position. Their decisions, trading for Kenny Pickett and drafting Dylan Gabriel, highlight a calculated shift toward youth and potential. Pickett, who flashed promise in his early career with Pittsburgh, was acquired in March, a move that shows how much belief Cleveland has in his growth. Gabriel, the ultra-accurate mobile quarterback from Oregon, was snatched in the 3rd round and has been a standout in pre-camp evaluations. The Browns have invested deeply in his development, signaling that he may be a future franchise cornerstone. Then there's Shadour Sanders, a late-round pick who shocked many by falling to 144th overall. Sanders brings elite athleticism, high IQ, and an undeniable competitive fire. Despite passing on him several times, Cleveland ultimately believed his talent far exceeded his draft position and that he could be a hidden gem. And what about Joe Flacco, the seasoned vet, a proven winner as a Super Bowl MVP? At 40, Flacco still brings leadership, wisdom, and experience. His 2023 resurgence, posting a 4-1 record, 1,600 plus passing yards, and 13 touchdowns, proved he still has gas in the tank. But let's be real, he's not the long-term answer. He's the insurance policy, the locker room anchor, the mentor. Inside Scoop, a 2-horse race, former NFL wide receiver and current analyst TJ Houshmandzadeh dropped a bombshell on a recent podcast. According to a trusted Browns insider, the quarterback duel is already down to Kenny Pickett versus Dylan Gabriel. Flacco, he says, isn't in serious contention for the starting gig. That revelation is massive. It signals a clear shift in strategy. Cleveland appears ready to hand over the keys to the younger generation, prioritizing development, identity, and long-term success over short-term fixes. Final thoughts. This is more than just a training camp storyline. It's a pivotal moment in the Browns' evolution. The youth movement is rising. The future of the franchise could be decided in the coming months. And one thing is certain: the AFC North won't know what hit it when Cleveland's new leader under center finally takes the reins. So buckle up, Browns Nation. This ride is just getting started. The Browns have officially constructed their quarterback room, and the message is crystal clear. The future is now. They've invested heavily in young, dynamic talent, trading for Kenny Pickett. Pause and reflect on that. Mary Kay was essentially arguing that a traffic violation, something millions of young people face, was a reflection of deeper flaws that made Shedeur unfit to lead an NFL team. Even her supporters struggled to justify that leap. But she didn't stop there. She continued leveraging this incident as evidence that Shedeur wasn't mentally or emotionally ready for the league. And this is where the narrative truly flipped, because the more she pushed, the more obvious it became this wasn't objective reporting anymore. This was a personal campaign, and the public noticed. The backlash was swift and brutal. Fans called out the hypocrisy, the exaggerated framing, and the clear bias. They flooded social media with criticism. They didn't just defend Shadour's talent. Thank you guys. See you next video.